Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for watching this video. Today, I will present my essay on fossil fuel subsidies versus green subsidies, the fiscal trade-offs in Indonesia. They are part of the Economic and Business Landscape course in my MBA program at ITB. Let's start with the main highlights of the essay. The first one is Indonesian states budget still prioritize fossil fuel subsidies even more than health or education in some years. The second is green subsidies for renewable energy are increasing, but their scale remains small. The third is the fiscal trade-offs influence macroeconomic stability, social justice, and Indonesians' transition to sustainable energy. Lastly, political and policy reforms are key to achieve a balanced, future-oriented budget. The second one is the abstract. Yep, Indonesia faces a persistent policy challenge, balancing the need for fossil fuels subsidies with the growing imperative to support green subsidies and the energy transition. While fossil fuel subsidies offer short-term economic relief, they undermine long-term growth, fiscal health, and investment in clean energy. This presentation explore the macroeconomic, fiscal, and political dimension of this trade-off and offer recommendation for more balanced and sustainable fiscal policy. Yep. The next one is the introduction. Indonesian subsidy dilemmas. Fossil fuel subsidies have long been seen as a political safety net and a tool for social protection, especially for lower income groups. However, the urgency of the energy transition and Indonesians' net zero commitment by 2060 require rethinking this allocation. The state budget still channels large sums to fossil energy, sometimes even more than to health or education, while support for renewable remains underfunded. Here, show a chart comparing APBN allocation for fossil fuel, health, education, and overall deficit. Yep. The next one is the literature review for macroeconomic and sociologic. According to the ADB, or Asian Development Bank, at their peak, fossil fuel subsidies consumed over 15% of Indonesians' government spending. These subsidies are regressive. The wealthiest 20% of Indonesian benefit most, while the bottom 40% receive much less. On the macro level, subsidies create budget deficits, distort energy market, and discourage investment in clean technology. Political and vested interests often make these subsidy regimes difficult to reform. The next one is the literature review for the green subsidies and fiscal trade-offs. In contrast, green subsidies like incentive for renewable and electric vehicle are still small in Indonesia, but growing. Globally, these subsidies have positive effect. They driven job creation, spur innovation, and increase energy security. Fiscal policy is all about trade-offs. The challenge is to redirect resources while they produce the greatest macroeconomic and social benefit. The political success of subsidy reform depends on good sequencing, effective compensation, and public trust. The next one is result and discussion. For this Indonesian reform challenge. Indonesia's government still allocate massive resources, up to 350 trillion rupiahs per year, to fossil fuel subsidies. the highest in the Southeast Asia. These subsidies are politically popular but physically unstable, unstable and sustainable, especially in times of global energy price shocks. For example, during the 2015 reforms, Indonesia successfully redirected subsidies savings to infrastructure and social programs. However, such reforms are politically risky and require strong social protection and communication strategies to avoid unrest. The conclusion and recommendation. In conclusion, Indonesia should gradually phase out fossil fuel subsidies with clear communication and compensation for vulnerable groups. It's important to scale up green subsidies and mainstream sustainability into our fiscal planning. Robust social protection is essential during the transition to avoid negative social impact. Political buy-in from civil society, the private sector, and the local government is vital for lasting reform. Last, the shift from fossil fuel to green subsidies is not just a technical fix, but a strategic move for Indonesia's sustainable future. I think that's it, my presentation. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later, and goodbye.